Hello guys, welcome to the channel. It's the Branded Dude, and today in the series Branded Strategies we have a new meta deck we're going to be talking about. It's going to be Ryzeal, Fiendsmith, Bestials. Obviously, yes, this does obviously include the pure Ryzeal, but the main deck or main variant actually is the Ryzeal, Fiendsmith, Bestial, the most common variant running around. And obviously this deck packs a lot of engine and a lot of interruptions. So this is what we're going to be discussing. I'll share you my thoughts, my opinions based on how my matchups against Ryzeal, what I've learned from my gameplays against them, and obviously, you know, my opinions and my sort of take on this can differ from what you have. But if you have anything new or anything else you'd like to mention, do feel free to comment down below and let everyone else who watched this video know and learn how to beat this deck. So let's hop right into it. So the Ryzeal deck is basically a level 4 rank 4 Xyz deck, but a lot of variants are splashing in the Fiendsmith engine as well as the Bestial. So this deck can come up with a lot of interruptions because basically you're going up against 3 engines: the Fiendsmith engine, then a small Bestial package, and then you're going up against the Ryzeal cards themselves. So in the extra deck, actually in the main deck, obviously we do have X Ryzeal, Ice Ryzeal, Node Ryzeal, and Sword. We do have Ryzeal Cross. If you're going up against the pure version, you will see Plugin and Plasma Hall, but we're not seeing a lot of pure versions at the moment. And also in the Fiendsmith Bestial variant, they do not play these 2 cards. Well, I've not seen them play this at all. So these 2 cards are less 2 cards you don't need to worry about at the moment. But obviously we have the Fiendsmith, Engraver, Lacrima, and the Bestial. So in extra deck, we obviously have Detonator, Dio Drive, we have the Requiem, Agnum Day, Sequence, and Desiree. We do have Chaos Angel because this variant of Ryzeal can access Chaos Angel very easily, and I will tell you how in a few minutes. We obviously, I think other rank 4s monsters you should be worried about will be the Evil Swarm Knight, Abyss Dweller. There's also Baguska, but Abyss Dweller is a lot more troublesome. Caesar and Aggregate, obviously they do not summon this, but they always send this off X Ryzeal, so this card can be an interruption. Cool. So this is sort of what the Ryzeal, Fiendsmith, Bestial deck will consist of when you're going up against them. So let's discuss what exactly should we expect when going up against this deck. So as I said, this deck basically consists of 3 engines: the Fiendsmith engine, a small Bestial engine. Not the Bestial engine doesn't do a lot of interruptions, but trust me, the Bestial cards can be a bit troublesome for us as branded players. And also obviously ultimately you have the Ryzeal engine as well. So in my experience going up against this deck will always start off with their Fiendsmith engine first, because the Fiendsmith engine can force out maybe hand traps or any other interruptions, but they can also slightly break your board. How so? Engraver, when equipped with a Requiem, Engraver can use its effect where it can target the equipped spell he controls and 1 monster on our field, send them to graveyard. So that is one way they can break your board. Another way they can break your board is Engraver is a level 6, Lacrima is a level 4. These 2 together gives them Chaos Angel. So Engraver can force 1 monster on the field to go to grave, then they can synchro into Chaos Angel and force us to try and negate this as Chaos Angel attempts to banish a card on the field. So you need to understand that they will always start with the 1 engine, which would be Fiendsmith, throw in maybe a Bestial here and there if needed, or they'll hold on to the Bestials to like banish our fusions to the graveyard, or banish our targets when we use Branded in Red or Branded Banishment, or any other effects, and then only will they throw in their Ryzeal engine towards the end. Because you need to understand that some of these Ryzeal monsters, for example, X can simply special summon themselves from hand by sending Xyz to the graveyard, and when an Xyz monster is either on the field or graveyard, this does allow, I believe, which card is it? Is it this one? No, Node. Node needs an Xyz monster in the grave or field to special summon itself. So you need to understand that when you're going up against this deck, they're not just simply going to combo off. Nope. They will always start off the Fiendsmith engine and Bestials just to force out interruptions, and then once you've like almost used a lot of interruptions, then you need to worry about the Ryzeal cards, which will simply come in. They will either try to go for Detonator or Dio Drive or any other rank 4 monsters that they do have and try to break your board a little further. So you need to understand, going up against this deck, they're going to go into the Fiendsmith engine, which will force out interruptions, 1 or 2, and obviously they are trying to go for Desiree or Agnum Day, but also if they're able to go into Desiree, Desiree can be a third interruptions because when it's sent to grave, usually they link this off into Agnum Day. Desiree can also send a card on our field to the graveyard. So you need to understand that the Fiendsmith engine is also there simply to help them break your board. Obviously, if they are going second, if they're going first, obviously they will always go for Desiree because Desiree is a good negate on their side of the field alongside with Detonator and the Ryzeal Cross. So the Fiendsmith engine can be really difficult for us because this Fiendsmith engine can force out interruptions from our side. So obviously these are engines we need to worry about. The Bestial cards are mainly there for the level 6 bodies to access Chaos Angel, but also Bestials technically can affect us as brand players, as I mentioned, banishing our fusions in grave or any other targets when we try to use in red or banishment. Cool. Now, how can we go about beating this deck? So in our main deck, obviously depending on what build you have, this may differ. Book of Eclipse is a good option to play when going up against Ryzeal. Book of Eclipse obviously can help you dodge Imperm or Veilers, can also flip their monsters face down because this entire deck requires their monsters to be face up in order to use them as material for XCs or use them material for a link or even a synchro. So flipping their monsters face down can slow down their combos quite a bit. Obviously, Book of Eclipse, perfectly timed Eclipse can help you. The reason why I say perfectly timed, because sometimes if you attempt to flip down the ice and the sword and they happen to have Xyz in the graveyard, if they have Node in hand, this can special summon itself, or if they have X in hand, X can simply special summon itself, and then it can also, I believe, on its summon, he can add one Fire Thunder monster from the graveyard, which will be Node, and Node can simply summon itself because he will have an Xyz monster in the graveyard. So you need to understand that Book of Eclipse can force your opponent's combos to stop, but it also depends on when you use it and how you use it. But Eclipse is always really good. Eclipse is also good when you're going second because you can flip down the Detonator, the Abyss Dweller, the Caesar, or any other rank monsters or whatever face down. So the Cross can only use its effect to detach to negate a monster effect if the Ryzeal monster is face up, but Book of Eclipse is also really good going second. Another good card I would consider playing is Droplet. Droplet, Detonator, every time we activate effect, he will target a card on field and pop. And also Abyss Dweller, any other quick effects like Desiree. Droplet is good to try to attempt to negate Detonator or Desiree or Abyss Dweller. So this card is something you should play. If you're playing Imperm, that's also good. Play Imperm, really good. But Imperm should only be saved if you want to hit the Yugioh Drive or any Detonator, Desiree or Abyss Dweller in your turn. So cool. Droplet, really good. Another sort of board breaker cards, this is mainly if you're going second. Evenly and Lightning Storm are so good. Now, yes, this variant, Ryzeal players, they do play, if they're playing the Fiendsmith engine, they will have access to Desiree. So obviously Desiree can negate these two, but these two board breakers, essentially mainly back row removal, is really good against the Ryzeal deck because removing their back row gives you less interruptions to play through. And also Evenly, yes, if Desiree is not unable to negate Evenly will break down their board completely and they'll have less materials. And also they do not have a good way to recycle banished cards. But yes, banished face down cards is also something a lot of decks are not able to recycle. So Lightning Storm, Harpies, or even Evenly are really good if you're going second. Break down their board, break the back row, less interruptions for you to deal with. One thing I would like you to make note of is that a lot of Ryzeal players, they do play Judgment and they do play Solemn Strike if they're going first in game 2 or 3. So these Solemn Judgment can negate your Lightning Storm and your Evenly, so that's something you need to be worried about. But in essence, going second, these two cards, Evenly and Lightning Storm, or any other back row removal, is really good against the Ryzeal deck. Another side deck card you could play is also D-Barrier. Yes, D-Barrier, really good. Call Xyz, boom, no Xyz summoning. The only thing you need to worry about is just the Fiendsmith engine and also the Chaos Angel. But one thing I would like to point out is that this Ryzeal deck, some of them can play, or I think most of them actually, they can play Crossout Designator. So Crossout can negate your D-Barrier, so you need to be careful of that. But D-Barrier is always a good card to play in your side deck when going up against this match, against this deck. Another card you can consider playing is Deck Lockdown. Deck Lockdown, neither player can add cards from deck to hand, and also monsters cannot be special summoned from the main deck. So Deck Lockdown literally locks down the entire Fiendsmith engine. most of these cards, when they summon, such as Ice, can search special summon Sword from the deck, and these cards add each other from deck to hand. So you essentially stop them from having follow-up, and also the Fiendsmith Engine Requiem cannot summon Lacrima from the deck, and also Engraver cannot search Fiendsmith Tract from the deck to the hand. So this deck lockdown is really good against this Ryzeal deck. The one thing I would like to point out is that Ryzeal players do have an out to deck lockdown, but it all depends if they're able to pull it off. Two ways they're able to play around this or get rid of this card is one, putting Desiree into the graveyard, because Desiree can trigger its effect to send one card on field to grave. Another one would be if they're able to special summon X by sending an Xyz monster from the extra deck to grave, mainly Aggregator. Aggregator can activate and negate deck lockdown. So this Ryzeal deck, they do have two ways to play around deck lockdown, but deck lockdown, if they're unable to get rid of this card will help you stall them and eventually win you the game. Obviously, yes, if they're able to out this, don't worry, they're going to have to use a lot of effects and materials just to out this card, so you can save your interruptions for the other cards that follow once deck lockdown is out. Now, when it comes to bestials, the Ryzeal deck, they do play a lot of bestials. Malice players, they also play bestials. So bestials are cards that are running around in this format. So as branded players, I think bestials should be played just to help. It's not essentially to break your opponent's board, but the bestials are there just to mainly banish your opponent's Fiendsmith Engine, and also you could banish their detonators and any other Ryzeal cards in the graveyard, because the Ryzeal players, they do not have a way to recycle their banished cards. Only Ryzeal cards can shuffle from the graveyard to get the draw. So the bestials, I would say, is a good engine branded players could incorporate. Obviously, it all depends on how much you want to play, but the bestial engine, I would rather save your bestials to banish Lacrima from the graveyard, or Sequence, or Desiree. I think the Lacrima, Sequence, and Desiree are the three main cards you should banish using your bestials against the Fiendsmith Engine. Lacrima, yeah, sure, you could try banish Engraver, but Lacrima just gives them so much play into the grind game. So banishing Lacrima is really good. I think, sure, you can hit the Engraver, but if you're able to hit Lacrima, banish those. I think a lot of Ryzeal players, they do play two Lacrimas, if I'm correct, maybe not just one. So banishing Lacrima is really good for the grind game. Eventually, the Fiendsmith Engine doesn't become so, I guess, consistent. I don't know if that's the right word, but banishing Lacrima is always good. And also Desiree. If you hit Desiree, boom, you don't need to worry about it. It's done. Don't worry about it. But also Sequence, get rid of it. Requiem, sure, you could hit Requiem, but Requiem can be played at 2, so I think that's something you should be worried about. I did see one profile where they played 2 Requiems, but maybe also 1. I might be wrong. But I'd rather recommend bestials hitting Lacrima or Desiree or Sequence. Those 3 cards, if you can hit 2 of them, good. I think that will put you in a good position with your bestials. But if you're playing bestials, I would like you to know that Ryzeal players, they do play triple tactic talents. Thrust, I'm pretty sure they do play Thrust, because there are a lot of hand traps going around here. So these 2 cards are being main decked, or they could be in the side deck as well. So your bestials can make you vulnerable to a talent or a Thrust. So in my experience, when I play bestials, I always save these bestials either in the end phase or just during my turn only. So cool, bestials are good. I think a lot of players, brand players, you should be playing bestials. I've also been considering upping the bestial cards that I play to a higher number, so obviously I will be testing those out and I will let you know how it goes. But bestials definitely really good, mainly to hit Lacrima or Desiree or Sequence when they're in the graveyard. That's what I would recommend you do with your bestial engine. So when it comes to Super Poly, as you know, in my branded build I do play Super Poly, but I'm not playing Super Poly and playing like Mud Dragon or Garura. I'm actually just focusing on other fusion monsters. But from my experience, a lot of Ryzeal players, they do tend to end on Abyss Dweller and Wave High King Caesar. So these 2 cards are both water attributes. So you can Super Poly Abyss Dweller and Caesar to go into Mud Dragon, because they're both the same attribute, but they are different types. So Abyss Dweller is really, really strong against branded, negate all graveyard effects. Yes, as branded players, you must know your fusion effects are not going to activate in end phase. T elements are not going to activate. Serenia is going to not activate. Retribution is not going to activate. so many things are not going to activate for you as a branded player. So this Abyss Dweller is such a troublesome card, but this obviously depends if they end on Abyss Dweller and Caesar. So I think Super Poly with Mud Dragon is actually a good option to play in your branded build. Yes, you're going to see a lot of Ryzeal players. They are going to end on Abyss Dweller because Abyss Dweller is really good against a lot of decks. There's Fiendsmith Engine they can negate, and you know there's a lot of graveyard effects nowadays in this format. So I would recommend playing Super Poly with Mud Dragon. Yes, I personally haven't played Mud Dragon, but right now I am telling you guys, put Mud Dragon in your extra deck with Super Poly. This could really save you if you enter draw phase and your opponent has Caesar and Abyss Dweller. Just go Super Poly, boom, get rid of these two. Trust me, your life is going to be so much easier. Cool. So yeah, these are cards I would say that us branded players should be playing against them. Super Poly can be really good. D-Barrier and Deck Lockdown if you're going first, game 2 or 3 to slow down your opponent. Book of Eclipse either to protect yourself from Impermavailor or to flip your opponent's monsters face down so they don't combo off. Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm, really good if you're going second, back row removal, or also just to break the board, but do be careful if they have Solemn Judgment or Solemn Strike as well. Bestials, always hit Lacrima, Desiree, and Fiendsmith. Those are the main cards I would recommend. You can hit Detonator if it's in graveyard, so they don't have more detonators to go into or to recycle or whatever the case is, but be careful, Bestials can make you vulnerable to a talent and even to a thrust, so do time when you use your Bestials. You don't need to rush with them. You can always use your Bestials in your turn against the Lacrima when it attempts to use its effect, and also just Desiree when Agnum Day tries to use its effect to reborn this and equip itself to the Desiree. So cool. So since I did speak about Chaos Angel, I would like to show you how exactly in play the Fiendsmith players are able, Ryzeal players are able to access Chaos Angel. So you'll see here that it's my opponent's turn. He just used Requiem's effect to summon Lacrima, and you'll see that Lacrima dumps Engraver, and you'll see Engraver uses its effect to summon itself. Cool. And here you'll see that my opponent now is using Requiem's effect to equip it to Engraver. So like I said, the Fiendsmith engine can force out interruptions to either break your board or just force out interruption on you. So you're going to see here that my opponent does use Engraver's effect, targeting my Albaz and the Requiem to send to the graveyard. So I'm forced here to use Super Poly here. So I send the Caesar away. But now on res, my opponent has Engraver, which is a level 6, and Lacrima, which is a level 4. So this is a Chaos Angel right there. Obviously, I was not expecting this. I didn't think that, I forgot that Chaos Angel could be made simply of these two cards. So you need to understand that it's so easy for them to force out 2 interruptions or break your board with 2 cards just with the Fiendsmith engine itself. So yeah, Chaos Angel is forcing out the back row, and now Chaos Angel is unaffected by monster effects I activate because it was used with light attributes. That's why the Bestials are also there, because then Chaos Angel can get both the light protection and the dark protection as well. So that will be more difficult for you when going up against the Ryzeal deck. So here I just showed you how easy Engraver can force 1 card off the field, and then they can go into Chaos Angel to force another. So Fiendsmith engine is just, sure, they are trying to go for Desiree, because Desiree can be a 3rd interruption, but the Fiendsmith engine is there just to force out interruptions and to break your board a little further before they even start with their Ryzeal plays. Another replay you'll see here is that it's my opponent's turn. He just summoned Magnamuds and he has these 2 level 4 bodies, and he can simply go into Chaos Angel with Magnamuds and one of the Ryzeal monsters, and now Chaos Angel has the light protection and the dark protection. So yeah, you need to understand that the Bestials and the Fiendsmith engine, the Bestial engine gives them access to Chaos Angel, which gives them insane protection because of Chaos Angel, and the Fiendsmith engine can literally force out 2 cards on your field and interruptions easily, with Engraver being equipped with Requiem, and then just simply synchro summoning into Chaos Angel. So you need to understand that the Fiendsmith engine is simply a deck that is there. Obviously, they are trying to go for Engraver, but they're just going to force out interruptions of you with that engine first, along with the Bestials, and then only those engines that would then start with their the Ryzeal play. So yeah, you need to understand that when it comes to going up against this deck, it's 3 engines you're going to have to deal with, and I would recommend your Bestials, Banish, Lacrima, or Desiree, or Sequence. flip their monsters face down, get rid of as like older level 4 bodies, don't leave XYZ monsters on their field or in their graveyard if you can, and yeah, just be careful how easily accessible Chaos Angel is for them. Cool, now let's just hop on to some siding patterns that you can do when going up against this deck. So for siding patterns, let's say that we are going first in game number 2, or even game number 3 is fine, but if I was going first, obviously it depends on what build you're playing. If you're playing 60, cool. If you're playing less, you can just see what I side in and obviously change what you would take out. But if I was playing 60, obviously we are going to put 3D barriers. My goodness, sorry about that. And the cards honestly I would take out with these would be droplets. Droplet, I mean, sure, you could use Droplet to negate the yugioh drive, to negate sequence, but I think if your D barrier resolves successfully and it doesn't get hit with crossout, that you don't need to worry about XYZ monsters. You just need to worry about the bestials, the Fiendsmith engine, and a Chaos Angel as well. But I think you have enough cards to deal with all of that. Deck lockdown, here I am playing 2 because I decided to put 1 Artifact Sanctum and an Albulenitus because some road decks like Centurion comes out of nowhere, so that is there. But 2, I've been happy with 2 at the moment. But for these 2, if you are going first in game number 2, I do tend to take out the Comedy and the Golden Sword. So as well, for these 2 cards, you could take out 1 Albion the Shrouded or Telement Name if you wanted, but these 2 I do tend to take out for deck lockdown. I've been fine with 2. Third one, sure, I didn't really feel the need to play 3, but 2 has been fine. So going first against Ryzeal, I'll definitely put in the deck lockdowns and 3 the barriers. You do have Book of Eclipse, Super Poly to break their board. You have Banishment to perform another Super Poly. So I think with all of this, you should be fine. Now, let's say if we're going second in game number 2 or 3 against the Ryzeal player, I don't play evenly matched, but I do play Harpies and Lightning Storms. For these decks, I will obviously take out Banishment, Regained, and I'll take out Golden Sword. So the reason why I take out these 3 cards, Regained and Banishment, these are more like going first cards. There's no point starting with this, there's no point drawing into this, it's a deck card. And Golden Sword, so it's not really needed because 1, you're going second, so you don't need to, you're not really going to be attacked into first, so we can take this out. Comedy I keep in because trust me, if you want to dodge an Imperm or Veiler, this card can come up. So we have back row removal, Harpies, also Lightning Storms can destroy their face-up monsters, cool. We have Eclipse, we have Droplet to negate, and Super Poly, but obviously in this build I'm not playing Mud Dragon, but I would recommend you do put Mud Dragon because they will bring out Abyss Dweller and they will bring out Caesar. Always, they will always bring out Caesar, it's guaranteed guys, and there will be Abyss Dweller as well. So Super Poly, break their board, cool. These Harpies for back row and Lightning Storms also for back row or for the attack position monsters, but if they have Detonator on the field, just go for the back row instead. So Eclipse, Droplet, Super Poly, and the Lightning Storm and Harpies, those would be the cards that I would side in when going second against the deck. You can also play Simo Archfiends, but I think this deck, Ryzeal players do have a way to play pretty decent against around Simo Archfiend, so D barrier is a good option to go up against, and deck lockdown. Just do remember guys, Aggregator and Desiree is the way to out deck lockdown, but I think you can just let them use all their interruptions, sorry, not interruption, let them use all their effects just to get rid of this one card, and you can use your other cards like Super Poly, Droplet, or Eclipse, and your monsters like Mirror Jade, maybe Furious or anything else, just to slow down their combos a bit further. So yeah guys, this is sort of the siding pattern I would use, and this is actually what I would say is how Branded should play against Ryzeal. This is what I'm telling you this based on my experience, what I've learned again from all the matchups I've had against Ryzeal. Ryzeal is going to be a deck you're going to see all over the place. It's going to be everywhere. Every game you play, you most probably, no, not most probably, you are definitely going up against Ryzeal. Sure, there's also Malice, but Ryzeal is the most represented right now. Cool. So guys, yeah, that is my thoughts and opinion when going up against Ryzeal. I hope you found it informative, you found it useful. If you have any other tips or anything else you would like to suggest, please do let me know in the comments below, and just, you know, let us all learn how to play against this deck, because we're going to be going up against this deck for the next few months in this format right now. But I hope you enjoyed the video guys. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.